Hello and welcome to the 9th episode of My Art is My Voice podcast. I am Rebecca Danger.
I'm Tom Ferry.
So I wrote something down for the prompt for this week, which we don't always use prompts, but
it's been a busy week.
My face has changed apparently. Okay, so this week I got thinking about how hard it is to put yourself out there as an artist. Not the business side, but the emotional side, the fear, the criticism, the people who diminish your work, and why we keep showing up anyway. And disgust. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that so the 9th podcast, and then I've been doing my YouTube, and I've been posting on Instagram and whatever, doing the internet thing. And it's definitely reminding me of a huge part of why I got off the internet years ago, because it can be really challenging to put yourself out there and hear people's reactions to you and your work. So do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I think the emotional side is it's a major component for myself, and more so 5 years ago than it is today. But I think it is not, it doesn't apply to everybody, but that's definitely the part of the art that I focus on. Because I know without my own personal insight, I don't believe the business can be successful anyway.
Well, I do think for the majority of artists I know, and you went to Black Swan yesterday, I missed, but it sounds like there's some of that there too. Like, even if it's just I don't know if I should apply at this show. I don't know if, just that unknown and putting all that work in for the gallery show for you, and then you sold nothing. And I think that's part of, that I felt like summed it up well, because I think that's a huge part of what you and I have discussed, and just having, over the years before the podcast, and just having somebody else to bounce ideas off of and say, you got this, because it's so easy to get caught in the nose and go to a market and have people be like, I was joking, can I take a picture of this? And you're like, sure, thanks for asking. And then they're like, I'm going to send this to my cousin so that they can make these and sell them too. And then, walk off. And so.
Which is super frustrating.
It's frustrating. And that's that, for me, more than how to make money with your art, more than any of the other components of it, it's growing that emotional ability to be able to handle whatever comes at you from the art, right? Whether it's a show and you sell nothing, or a show and you sell out.
Right.
Because both of those, it's the mental component that you're going to be able to come back from, right?
Yeah, and I think it's super important to look at all the data for whatever it is.
Right.
I've had experiences where I was invited to participate in an art walk, and stood in a store for 7 hours next to a painting and had nobody show up for whatever reason, whether it was because that particular location, I know it was new on the art walk that year. It was kind of at the end of the road thing. So I just don't think people found it.
Right.
My solo show at the gallery, I didn't sell anything firsthand, but I did take a couple commissions off of that. But then later find out that particular gallery doesn't necessarily contact clients. Right. It's more of a nonprofit. Right. So none of that is on me.
Right. But then I think it's that, how do you make sure that you're not taking it personally? Right. You're not going, oh, well, obviously my work is terrible. Right. Or I'd be selling more of it.
I think it's about not creating expectations for me. If you just go into the show with no expectations, it's just something new, and I'm curious to see how this plays out, and I'm curious to see if I fit in, then whatever happens, happens.
It's interesting you're saying that, because I think that's, again, the mindset of going and making really good art comes from, what happens if I do this? What happens when I show up with this? So I think it's more than just, I was writing something down about selling your work, and it's the concept. I said this I did that talk Thursday too, and I said this there, that Malcolm Gladwell and the 10,000 hours to, I think it's mastery.
Oh yeah.
So I am seeing art, because I did this talk, right? And I realized I started being creative at 5 years old, that I can remember. I'm sure I was creative before that, but I was actively checking out craft books from the library and making things. And then, about 8, I started playing the harp. So that was another creative. And I started sewing. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was making bear clothes, which is, here we are full circle.
Yep.
I started making money as an artist, as a harpist at 12 and 13 years old. Now I'm losing my train of thought. But basically, I put the 10,000 hours in to perfect the craft, to perfect the sewing, to perfect the music. I don't play at this point, but I can pull it back up. But then it's so interesting as an artist because that's not enough. Then you have to come for that 10,000 hours of sales.
Right.
You have
I
to
think
learn
that is the part that most of us are just not acknowledging or realizing.
Right. It just takes...
And the 10,000 hour rule is like 10 years.
Right.
It's 10 years to master each one of these crafts or artisans.
But then that's 10 years of showing up constantly, trying to sell before you can expect results from it. Right.
And expect a lot of the no's are completely out of your control.
Have nothing to do with you.
I've been curated into the biggest festivals in Washington in the fine art department. And I've been told no far more times than I've been in.
From the same festival.
From the same festival each year. And I remember the first, and I got lucky, the first 2 entries, 2 independent years, I was accepted into both festivals right away. I sold both my pieces in there right away. I was like, oh, here we go, stardom, game on.
Right, I got this. I know what I'm doing.
And then the next year I got declined, and the next year I got declined, and the next year I got declined. And then I took a deep breath and I looked at the data to realize they're curating down to 100, 150, 200 pieces, and they have approximately 900 artists submitting 5 pieces apiece into this. There is a ton of fabulous art that is not being accepted.
Absolutely.
So that just is what it is. It's just the curator's opinion of what they want that particular show to look like.
Right.
And I didn't fit the bill, and that's okay.
Right.
So those have become easier for me just to kind of okay, cool. What's my next option?
Right. And I think that's where whatever you can do to be in control of how you're showing up as an artist. I know that's a huge part of why we started the podcast is we're way more in control of that and what happens than going to a gallery and, fingers crossed that we're going to get traffic in. I think that makes a lot of sense to say. But, I still think it takes years. Here I am.
It does take years, absolutely.
Starting at 5, I'm 42. That means I put 37 years of work in as an artist.
Right.
And I'm still not making as much as I would like to be.
Right.
So...
Right. And on the business side of it, we're not going to achieve the great success in 10 years because we're only doing it once a month or twice a month.
So I was at the show.
I would rather just do art.
Right. I mean, that's the reality.
That's
I think
the reality.
We're all like, well, I got this skill set that comes really naturally. Obviously, I should get paid for it, but that part's a lot harder. But then at the same time, just on a more traditional business idea, I was at the local art group on Thursday, and they were talking about the financials, and it's been a hot subject within the group because the group decided to open a gallery. And I think a lot of people in the group are not hugely in favor of that. I can see both sides. I understand. And I've tried to show up and just support because any way I can support the arts in my community, we were just talking about that, I'm going to do. And so they were talking about the money. And the president was saying, we haven't even been open 2 years. We'll be open 2 years in July. That'll be our 2-year open. What am I trying to say? I don't know. You know what I mean? And then she was saying most businesses as a whole, you're not going to expect to be making money in the first 2 years.
Right.
You're going to probably have a 2 to 5 year timeline before you're seeing any kind of profit from your business. And so I think it's really easy as an artist to be like, well, I showed up at 4 markets and I only did like $200 a market.
Right.
And so obviously markets don't work. But I think that business advice is solid that she said that it takes years. And I've been volunteering at the gallery since, I think, last January. So about 18 months at this point. And definitely I used to bring my projects and get a whole day of work. You came and visited me and like a couple hours we were chatting and nobody came in. And then all of a sudden the last couple months, there was one day where I had 5 people in all at the same time and I was making sales and I was like, where am I? What's happening? So I just think again, it's that showing up.
It's a showing up. It's putting our art in front of faces all the time,
Right.
not knowing where that will take us.
Right.
End up putting the expectation that it has to take us anywhere.
Well, I think that's the big thing is if you really need to make money, then maybe art as a side gig is really the best because that was the other thing I found in talking about my history was, for instance, just briefly, and I recorded it as a YouTube video, so I'm going to put it up in the next couple days so you can hear, so we can put a link in for that too. So, because, I'm like, I think I'm kind of boring. And then everybody at the event was like, oh my God, you think you're boring? What are you talking about? So I think it's good to just hear other people's stories.
Absolutely.
But the thing I found was like, okay, so I started harp at 12 and 13. I started my handbag company at 14 to 15. I graduated high school in that time period. I went to college, ended up doing the bags full time, was absolutely getting somewhere with that. And then the housing crisis in 2008 hit. And so we lost that business. And then right as I was getting back on track with my knitting patterns, my kids were born and we realized they were high needs, special needs. And that took a bunch. Plus the internet got really mean and I couldn't show up with the drama I was having at home and the drama emails I was getting at the same time. And so I had to back off. Sure enough, get back on track right in the summer of 2019, COVID hit. That's the reality as an artist is I was saying...
Nothing's guaranteed.
Well, and when you have a job, when my mom passed away, my husband's work gave him bereavement leave for my mom so he could get paid. That business kept going. There was a blip for them that he wasn't there for a few days, but I had to set everything aside and I wasn't showing up as an artist. Therefore I wasn't making money.
The business shuts down.
So I think there's that component. If you really need an income, then you have to take these factors into account as well, Sorry, obviously I'm fired up about this.
I don't understand the difference between somebody who's got a full-time job and does wonderful art and somebody who does art as their full-time job. I think they're both achieving the same joy. And I think many times those who are keeping the full-time job, they don't hold the fear of the financial. And I think that's a fear that most of us artists are always trying to push through.
I think you're touching on something that we talk about a lot too, because I think if you are in a job and you're not liking it or there's problems there or whatever, there's a fear base in that you're looking at an working artist and going, I really wish that I had that job. Whereas that working artist is probably looking at the solid job and going, man, that stability seems really nice.
The grass is always greener on the other side. But the one thing I don't think most people would do if we were really honest with ourselves is if we would all be honestly write down all the problems in our life.
Yeah.
And we all put them in one box.
James and I just talked about this too.
And you got to draw it out. Yeah. I'm not drawing somebody else's.
Yeah.
My problems are my problems and I know how to negotiate through them.
Right.
And I don't think we realize for you and James, for example, I don't want kids again.
Right.
Not that they're a problem.
No.
But that is a huge difference in lifestyle.
Yes.
Right? And I'm in this different place right now. So
yes. Just in the same category. So my kids are 12 and 15. My oldest, he's just absolutely coming into his own. He's really amazing. He's literally in the house putting Arch Linux on his computer, which is the Linux that has absolutely nothing in it so that you can get it to power through. Last night he's like, well, I know more about computers than you do, Mom. And I'm just like, so I pushed a little. I'm like, oh, have you had a computer since 1993? Were you like it?
Right. But, let me know when you get your 10,000 hours in.
Right. That's I'm like, how long have you been working with computers? He's like, well, 3 years. I'm like, well, I'm at 33. So,
Right.
But like you're saying, 12 and 15, they're high needs, so they're still pretty hands-on with ours, but they're definitely so much more manageable.
It's something in your life that you're going to tailor the business around them.
Right.
You're not going to tailor them around the business.
But then I talked to my friend Tammy this week because she's helping me lay out my sewing pattern that I'm doing. And she has 6 kids. She's got kiddo I guess he's an adult in college at this point. She has a senior who's graduating next week, and then her youngest starts kindergarten in the fall. And so she's a little bit older than I am. She's the same age as James, Mr. Danger. And I imagine in 3 years having a 5-year-old, and I'm like, oh,
Right, it'd be
like
crazy.
I'm really happy with. I mean, I love
Right.
kids. I would absolutely
Right.
take another child on, but yes, there's a lot of other
It's a lot.
situations.
Right.
I think that's what I want to like convey here is we all have struggles. And everybody has difficulties, and
Yep.
it's really easy to look at someone else and think, oh, they have it figured out,
Yep.
or they have it much better than I
Right.
do, or they, you know, and the reality
Yeah.
is you
I
don't
agree.
know.
I agree 100%. I mean, one of the toughest decisions for myself personally, and probably the best decision I've made, is when Jackie started the jam and jelly business. You know, I came prior to 2016 in particular. I came from a manosphere place of like, I just don't feel that I supported her the way I support her now.
Yeah.
It wasn't at the front of my mind to support her. I was the man. I did this. I did that. I took care of everything.
Right.
You know, whatever society had put on me. But, you know, since 2019, I have done nothing than be her biggest cheerleader to the point that in 2023, I work for my wife.
Right.
I make jam and jelly for her, and,
Right.
and I maintain our bees for the honey. I make deliveries of eggs, whatever the
Right.
farm's going on, whatever's going on. And honestly, I don't know if I've been happier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I don't get to make as much art as I want to all the time, and that's okay.
Well, I think that's where like the choices come in because we're in a very similar situation. James has always been very, very supportive of everything I've done, and we've worked together multiple times. You know, again, in my history, at one point, we were a team of 5 full-time employees, him and I, and 3 full-time employees, and we had a 3,000 square foot workshop. And then he's gone back to work since then because that was the 2008 crash. And, you know, we almost filed bankruptcy. And it was a really difficult time. I didn't think it could get harder. And then I had some special needs kids, and I was like, wow, life, I gotcha. But
And it also gives us a different perspective of how much space we can hold. Like,
absolutely.
we are capable of way more than we're giving ourselves credit for.
Absolutely. Right. But we're in a situation like you where he's been home working with me because of a not so hot job. And, you know, he's had a couple opportunities come up here, and he was thinking about applying for them. And we're looking at, well, we would rather, you know, scrimp and save where we can to be able to work together again. And, you know, figure out alternative income sources so that we can do creative work together and not have to go back to the corporate 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
So not everyone can do that, and I understand, but I think a huge part of it is mindset too.
And education, re-educate yourself.
Right, or if a job's not working for you, try something new.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie in 2019 took a woman's entrepreneurial course through the UW.
Right.
And,
Right.
and if you talk
That's
to
a
her
good
today,
point.
that was the best decision she ever made.
I know we talk
Because it
about
gave us all the
frequently.
data. It told us what the business model looks like. It helps you get through those initial steps that I think get dismissed a lot. Like, again, when you're talking about a Bachelor of Arts degree or fine arts or any of that stuff, they don't teach you business in those.
Right.
That would have to be a choice for you to take those classes.
This is so funny because this has been such a full circle couple of weeks here for me. I got my associates, and then I went on to Western, and I was in the art department, and I was a junior in college, and I was tie-dyeing and also running this handbag business. And I was like, I'm tie-dyeing as a junior. Like, I might as well just do that
Yeah, you don't have to
full-time.
pay somebody to do tie-dye.
Right. Right. But I think what you're saying about Jackie's class, that was a community.
That was a very specific. Like, I don't know if we need to go to school for art. I'm not trying to dismiss that or say that's
No.
a bad choice or a bad decision. There are definitely types of art that are beneficial to going to classes and learning. But if you want to be a painter, then just start painting.
Right. Well, I think we're here.
And focus on the business side of it.
Right.
So that when your
Learn that
technical effort is all coming into place, you're ready to just blossom.
Yeah, I know I've read tons of business books. Tons of research on business. And, you know, I think that it's good to say these things, even if people don't agree with them, to get people thinking about different ways of moving forward.
Yeah, and I think it's important as the artist, the first step we can all make is think about who are your potential customers, and how do you fit into there, or what do you want to create for them potential customers, right? So some of it's about creating a product. If that's note cards, that would be considered a product to me. I don't think it's any less or any more.
What's your own choice of if
Right,
it is
it's
or
your
not?
own choice, whatever it is. And I think it's important to, let's say, for example, you want to be in galleries. So go visit your local galleries before you even apply to them.
I think what you just said is, so you want to be in galleries. I think that's the thing. Do you want to be doing the
Right,
markets?
is that some?
Then give them a try
Yep.
if you want to be doing galleries. But I
Right.
think ultimately your art comes down to what works best in your situation with what time you have, what your financial goals are,
Right.
and what your location is,
Right.
and what your resources. Like, there's so many
Right.
factors that go into
And
it.
realize it takes a certain amount of face time. You have
It
to
takes
be
us-
in front of
yeah.
people.
So I sold at you said Pike Place Market, which is funny. Everything's full circle this week. I sold at the Pike Place Market for a while, and I took a really excellent artist as entrepreneur, I believe was
Okay.
the class name. I still have this wonderful blue notebook. It's super outdated at this point because that was like 2006, 2007, like it's a ways out, but a lot of the information is still very relevant. And one of my favorite takeaways from that, this was a class offered through the market for market sellers.
Right.
My favorite takeaway was being self-employed means deciding which 16 hours of the day you're going to work.
Right.
And I mean, it's not necessarily true, and you don't have to do it like that. But in my experience, I'm either out here working or I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
I think that's the choice that where most artists are stumbling is they think it's just a 9 to 5 day.
Right. It's
not.
definitely, in my experience, and again, other people may have a different experience, but again, I started at 5 and I'm 42, so I
Right.
have 37 years of working as a working artist. I'm a
Right.
working artist.
Right.
And in my experience, you cannot expect to get paid hourly. You cannot look at your hourly. I think even with the jam, it's fairly similar, isn't it?
Yeah, we take money out for doing a market.
Right, but you're not looking at Tom put in an 8-hour
Nope.
day and he makes $25 an hour.
It's a total different version of finances, of understanding how they operate for us.
Yeah.
And during the summer months in particular, we're fine.
Right, because you're doing the farmer's market, showing up every week.
Showing up every week,
I
doing
think
whatever.
that's similar for artists because, like, for me, I did all of the shows. I mean, we know all of the shows, November, December, phew, with the numbers, and then January hits and it's like a free fall because nobody's buying in January.
Right,
I
right.
mean, maybe somebody is. My birthday's
Well,
February,
Christmas
but-
just took place. That's
Right.
part of the problem. You have months that very specific things happen.
Right. So, but then, for us here, because it's Washington, January, February, March, the farmer's market doesn't open till April.
Right, nothing
So
opens.
then you're needing those numbers from December, November to carry you through till April.
Right. So then we had to figure out being creative of then there's more of a focus on the wholesale markets. There's more focus on farm stands that are running year round.
Right.
It's no different than the art. We have to show up.
Right. It's
You know,
another creative
Right.
business.
And it's showing up. I mean, it's looking at data realistically before you show up sometimes. I mean, for example, I would give is, I remember the very first gallery I applied to, I did not go in. I don't even know if I looked at their website other than this was the gallery that you're supposed to apply to.
Yeah.
And I instantly received an email back saying, we are not interested in your work at all, basically. And I remember I was heartbroken. It was like the big first no, and I'm like totally confused. Like, what do you mean? And then we went to the town a month or two later. We're walking down the street. There's the gallery. Jackie goes, well, let's go in and see what the data says. It was a watercolor gallery.
Are you doing
All they do is
watercolor?
watercolor artists.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
And then I'm like, yeah,
Oh.
obviously this is a no. Like I'm probably the only moron who kind of, submitted. Even
I'm sure you're not.
and I'm not a moron, but you know what I meant. It's
Yeah.
just like, so then that I reframed that whole thing of like, okay, this is important now. It's important for me to go to these locations, see what these locations are about, because there's other information we can take from this, in that you can walk into that gallery you're thinking applying to, and you can not only see what type of art they're moving and selling, you can see what the price points are. And I think that's an even more important part of, like, if you walk into a gallery and they're selling mostly prints and stuff like that, let's say anything under sub 500, and you're submitting $2,000, $3,000 paintings,
Right.
that's not the right clientele. It's
Right.
more than likely not going to do well there, and they're probably going to tell you no.
Right.
And vice versa. If you go into a high-end gallery who's doing $2,000, $5,000 pieces, and you go in with a bunch of note cards, they're going to tell you no.
Or like my digital art.
Right.
That's a definite.
Yeah, digital art's
Yeah.
definitely a no at that level. So I think it's very important to just do your research and understand what meets your needs.
Yes. And trying. I like what I'm hearing, and what you're saying is, yes, you applied to the gallery without realizing it was a watercolor gallery, but you tried. You're at least showing up.
Yeah, I showed up.
And, then
And I
you learned
believe that
something.
experience had to happen.
That's how
If I wouldn't have allowed that experience to happen, if I wouldn't have showed up, then I would have just been another artist going, well, no galleries want me.
I think that's the big thing that's gotten me through this week, because I have not been in a good place for quite a few weeks. And the big thing, one of the things was just showing up in the present moment and trying to really be there. Like, we're recording this podcast right now. I'm not thinking of the 50,000 other things I need to
Right.
be doing. And I've been doing that more with my work this week. Tuesday, I think, I can't remember, Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Wednesday, I sewed through the pattern, and I
Nice.
knew that's what I wanted to do. And I took all the photos, but I showed up in that. It would have been really easy for me to be like, nobody's going to buy this, and how am I even going to market this, and all of that story. But being able to just show up and be like, I'm going to do the best at this particular thing right now.
Right.
So I think that's really helped. And then if it's time to go pick a place to sell it, then I'm just going to very mindfully be there in the moment.
Right.
So I don't know. You're saying that, and that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think there's millions of different aspects or ways to approach this. And I think we're all the same, and I think we're all different.
Absolutely. And I think
there's an overriding thought that's been in my head since I was probably 4 years old. And it's interesting. I won't knock it down because it's the only place I've always believed in myself. But for some reason, I believe that I'm very much here to make a statement to the world. I still don't know if I fully understand what that statement looks like. But the interesting part about it is that I do know that my creativity feeds off of that belief.
I can concur. Yeah, I see that for your work.
So it's figuring out how to bring that together into my reality in a way that meets my needs. And I've realized, like, it's not always a clear path.
It's one of the phrases I used in my talk, which I have in the YouTube, and I'm going to say now again, because, you get a good phrase, you might as well use it, right? Is a creative path is never a straight line.
Nope.
So, I think it's really easy to be like, I know I'm going to show up as an artist and be super successful. And in my experience, like I was telling you, how could I have predicted 2008?
Right.
How could I have predicted my children would need extra attention?
Right.
How could we have predicted COVID? How could we, I didn't realize my mom was going to die when she did. Like, these are things, but they're not insignificant events.
No, but they're things we have to surrender.
But we have to navigate around them.
Right. Yeah, we can't control them at all.
No, we can just show up in this present moment.
Yeah, I mean, and I love having the creative epiphany moments, and I finally just had one because I've struggled since my dog died, and that's just been so difficult for me to get through, and just feeling like just trying to make sense of, like, why am I doing any of this?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. And also understanding that it doesn't need to make sense, and I just need to chill out and relax, and it'll come back.
That's that
And
right now moment,
yeah,
right?
that right now moment. So then I enrolled in an independent art study at one of the local ceramic shops, just to get my hands on a different material, a different environment, different studio, and just try and create that. And then spent my first 4 hours modeling clay, trying to convince myself that not everybody was staring at me while I worked, right? So, because I'm not used to working in front of people. So
Right.
I sat there in that awkwardness and just went, okay, this is what it is. And I decided on a project. I'm not going to quite share all of it right now. So I decided. So it's super interesting to me just the way the universe works. If we have a curious enough mind to read the signs that are being thrown at us. So I got home to a box that was shipped to me by the husband of somebody who was a very good friend of mine who also passed away, and she was a ceramic potter. And out of the blue, without saying anything, I knew none of this was coming. He sent me all of her texture tools for ceramics the same time that I'm starting this ceramics class. So then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Must be meant to be. So I've started, so then that starts the opportunity for me to ramp up that creativity. Like if I can buy into this, like the universe is handing me this as a gift, then let's ride with it.
Right.
So then I've started my project, and as I was starting my project, I kept wanting to pull myself out of it. Like, I don't understand where I'm going to show this. I don't understand where I'm going to put this.
Right.
Da da da. And then in the middle of all that creativity chaos, it happened. I understand what the statement piece would be. Whether I pursue that or not right now, I haven't decided yet. I'm still trying to put the pieces together, but it's a very valuable piece of art for myself to do. And I'm like, okay, it's about just being curious for me. It's about being open. It's about not saying no to something, not saying yes to something. It's just about being here in this moment for myself and saying what meets the need today.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think the other thing, depending on your beliefs, that I find is what you're saying when I like to say the universe is talking to me. And I very much have had some moments like that this week too. And I think that's, for me, that's how I make decisions. That's how, if that voice keeps coming up and saying, this is a job I need to get out of, this is not a good job, listen to that.
Right.
I 100% agree.
Right.
But then my phrase is, it's actually interesting, it just came up this morning, is I was reading Louise Hay again, and it's life loves me and brings me everything I need right when I need it. And I think when you can go in with that soft heart and that soft open mind and take down the stories of what am I even doing,
Right.
I think that's when things start clicking into place. And that's when that box of tools shows up, when you've already enrolled. And that's where I was working with AI, with Claude specifically this week, which has been incredibly helpful. I know it's very controversial how people feel about it. I am very neutral about it, but I decided rather than deciding what it is without experiencing it, I would go ahead and give it a try. And so I have used multiple kinds. I started Claude last week. That sounds so funny. It's like a drug or something. I started on the Claude. Anyway, sorry about that. And it was so interesting because I was feeding old patterns into it and trying to help figure out how I'm moving forward with my tiny bears I found and shared last week. And it suggested the word persnickety to describe this bear. And it could have no comprehension or understanding of how significant that word is to me. And yet my very first creative business was Persnickety Designs. And so those are the kind of things that keep me on track. Those are the kind of things I'm looking for all the time as an artist, and trying to keep my mind open enough and my stories quiet enough that when something like that happens, I can just really see it as a marker. I think it's like a weight as I say it, but we're so stressed out,
Right.
everyone.
Right.
And we're not good enough, and we don't make enough money, and our job's not the right job, and our house isn't the right house, and the car's not the right car, and we're too fat, we're too short,
Right.
our hair's
Too
too
old.
straight, are too old.
Too old to do art.
And I like, last night, Mr. Danger, James and I were sitting and watching a Star Trek episode, and he had bought me ice cream cupcake from Edeline's. Have you ever had one of those? We love the cupcakes. And he had bought one for me for after my talk on Thursday, and I ended up not wanting it Thursday. But it was like 11 o'clock at night. I think both dogs, maybe both. One of the dogs was snuggled on me. I'm eating this ice cream cupcake. We're watching Star Trek Next Generation. I'm spending time with him in the evening, which is one of our favorite parts of the day. And I was just like, I just need to soak up the moments that are like this.
Right.
And really enjoy them and not feel guilty about the ice cream, or not that I'm wasting time watching this show, or whatever those stories are. Like, we should just enjoy it, you know? And yeah, that's hard when you're in a position you don't want to be in. But like, it's hard even for people who are in a good place, I think, to
Absolutely.
just stop and be like,
Right.
these are the moments that make being a human so wonderful. And I find those moments in my creativity, you know, like I've been working on the bears again, and just the texture in my hand, and like these moments make me so happy. I know you said with the clay, like there's such a tactile
There's
thing.
such a tactile thing for me.
But if we can just enjoy those moments, that's what's going to calm us down and make it so we can have a clearer headspace to make more money as an artist. Right?
And I do believe the universe is presenting us opportunities or signs all the time. And I believe that the most successful, the way I would clarify most successful is the happiest, joyful artists are those who embrace them, that they're not coincidences.
Yes.
That they are opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think when you can do that, you just are in such a better headspace. And everything is easier when you're in a better headspace, right? Yeah, I can understand having a really difficult job and then not being able to think about anything else. But the more we can just lighten up, like Louise Hay, have you ever read any of her stuff?
I don't believe so.
Okay, she's one of my favorites. And she's just, I picked up a book, I think I told you this already, but excuse me, I was more than halfway through a book. And it was a little book, but you know, life happens. And I believe it's called You Can Create an Exceptional Life. I believe that's what it's called. And it's with her and Cheryl Richardson, who's another Hay House author. And I picked it up, and just 5 minutes of reading, I just felt so much better because she just, you know, she's like in her 80s, and she's like, this is going to be the best decade yet. And I just think so much of that spellcasting we talked about last week, right? Like, the more you can use these really positive words, whatever field you're in, I think the better we are as people, and the better we show up in the world, and the nicer we are to ourselves, the nicer we are to everybody else. I don't know. I just...
Yeah, for me, I don't believe we live in a healthy reality.
Yeah.
And I also know that the only way we get out of that is I have to show up for myself in a way that changes that reality.
I agree.
So I have to be very aware of how I'm interacting with the world, so that I can create a new reality, so that I can make somebody's day, make somebody smile, whatever that looks like, and then hopefully they in turn do the same, right? It's paying it forward all the time.
Right. But I think, you know, it's interesting you're saying that, because we keep talking about, so this was my thought with the AI, is I think I'm a fairly reasonable person. I think I'm a decent human being. And so why not me train the AI on how to have conversations?
Absolutely. That's the other side of it. It doesn't have to,
Right.
It's not all evil and good. There's a ton of gray area that we're all playing in, that I just believe the gray area is the human experience. We're just putting labels on whether it's good or bad or how we've dealt with it.
Agreed. Yeah. It's that.
So the AI for the business side of it for artists is a valuable tool right now.
There's
opportunity to use it, and we're not, very specifically, we're not talking about using it for art.
No, I'm using it
We're talking
for the
about using
business
it
side.
for the side of the art that we don't have the experience in, which is the business side.
Well, I was even running it this morning and kind of working on it was helping me build a business plan. and it was asking me, how much money do you get after Etsy fees? And I was like, I don't know. This is my guess. And then I was like, oh, can you do research on that? Sure enough, not only did it do research on it, it went out and it said, actually, you're about $1 less than what you'll actually make. And it said, if you've done under $10,000 in sales on Etsy in the last year, go in here in Etsy, turn off offsite ads, I think is what it's called. And you should see about a 15% increase in what you're actually netting in, because it's not worth it if you're making under.
Right.
And I was like, holy cow, I didn't know that. I don't care.
Right.
I'm not going to go do the research to find that out. But not only did it tell me I'm actually making more than I thought I was, which is helpful, it told me how to make more today already without a new pattern.
Right.
So
Yeah, it'd be wonderful if it just serves as an owner's manual for stuff like that.
the other thing I've found with it this week is it's really building my confidence, because I can put in my numbers of things and it can tell me it's not attached to anything. And so it can tell me, here's positives, here's the negatives, here's my suggestion. It's been a wonderful tool. So I don't know, not to plug the AI, but
No, I think it is just another tool.
well, because I think so many artists are worried that it's going to take our jobs, right? And that we certainly are seeing.
No, I mean, even myself, when it comes to the art, yes, I'm not happy with some of what I see, especially in the music. Like, it's just driving me nuts. And it is what it is. Until we figure out how to regulate it, control it, do whatever, it's going to be what it is.
And yet, I all of a sudden have an assistant, and I'm feeling better business-wise than I have in probably 10 years at this point. So things can be both.
And most artists are in a position we can't afford to go hire that consultant to do what AI is doing. And right now they're maybe just using AI to give us the information anyway.
Right. I mean, I think about it, like I have these two friends that I met in this quilt pattern writing class, and we were laughing about how much we'd actually spent on this class, right? And it was helpful. I made 2 wonderful friends from it, so that makes it worth it for me. But I definitely think that what am I trying to say? I have gotten so much more out of this week of the AI assistant directed to my situation, where I can tell it that, it knows I homeschool, it knows all kinds of different stuff. And it then is like, it knows I tend to burn myself out, so it's always checking in with me. It's so much better than any online anything I've ever done, because it's directed to me. And I think that's one of the things we like to talk about is, what do you want to be doing and what works for you? And ultimately, I would love for us to be able as artists to come together collectively and celebrate everybody, our wins and our loses, and is that right? Loses?
Loses? I mean, there's more than enough room for all of us.
Right. I know, like, Tuesday we were talking, I'm going to spring this on you, and you were feeling a little bit stuck. And I realized afterwards, like, I feel like I was trying to give you too much advice. No, and I should have just let you be.
Yes.
You understand what I mean?
I think with our relationship, that was fine.
Okay.
And I didn't take none of it as shutting on me. I took it as you keep engaging a key into my keyhole to try and unlock something. And like I said, something did come around on Thursday. I think it was Thursday night. So me being open enough to just hearing what you're saying, and you being able to sit there and hold that space for when I needed it, that's all we can do for each other, period. I don't think any of us have the answer for each other.
That's what I was.
Again,
that's my
point. We're not aware of each other's problems.
I think it's really easy.
And some of like my problems are just internal, made up problems.
A lot of ours are.
Right.
Well, that's what I was saying. That like weight, where if I'm in a clear enough headspace and I'm thinking about it, so much of our problems are just either fixable or self-created, you know? And so, but that's where, like, I want to try and, moving forward, lead by example rather than trying to give shoulds. Because I think it's so natural and easy for us to see somebody struggling and be like, well, you should do this. And look at somebody else's situation from the outside and be like, well, obviously you should be making puzzles, Tom. Like, it's really easy to do that. And if we can just hold space and listen to each other instead, I think especially within the artist community, we're so creative.
Right.
We should be able to come up with things if we just feel heard,
Right.
right? I think that's
Yeah,
such a huge
I think
thing.
we can use that creativity on the business side. I don't think that we as a society, we view that as creativity.
Right, but it is.
But it is.
It is.
It's the same as if I make jam during the day. I mean, that's alchemy, chemistry.
Right. Right.
And our blackberry habanero flavor. That's my recipe, my experimentation. It was my day to be creative.
Really well.
We needed a hot and spicy jam.
It's an excellent jam.
Thank you.
Should plug. What did you say on pepperoni pizza? Isn't that?
Yeah, on pepperoni pizza. It's awesome.
I know your sales pitch from
I know.
hours of being next to you at the market.
Right. Yeah, but that was I engaged my creativity and had fun with it. I made a number of different flavors. That was the best.
But if you were worrying about how much money you were making as a jam maker, there's not that headspace to be there and just show up.
No, because this is already selling. Why do I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to risk that. I don't want to introduce a new product.
We don't need
And I think
anything
that's
else.
the thing with an artist too, is like once you get into a gallery, it's funny to watch some artists that have a little bit of success there, and then they don't get in again, or they're bouncing around, and then all of a sudden they're lost because they seem to believe that's the only type of artist they can be.
Right.
But no, you can do a farmer's market on Saturday and sell note cards, and you could go in Monday and do a complete install in the gallery.
Well, and then we're finding, because that's another component I wanted to talk about. I don't know if now's the right time, but I think the more you can engage in your local community too, I think people buy from people.
Right.
And so I think the more you can create those connections within your local community, not only is it wonderful for the community as a whole, I mean, can you show up and put some free art out there just to get yourself out? And then who knows where that's going to go.
Right. Especially study work. Like I give away a lot of my study pieces unless I still need them.
Right.
They're just study pieces. They was not intended to go into a gallery. Some of them were never even finished from what I would do. I just got to the point when, okay, now I know how to do it.
Right.
And move on to the next piece.
That's a part of it.
Right, that's a part of it. And
the mastery.
And that can still bring joy and beauty to the world in a way that it wouldn't if you didn't.
Well, on my way to your house or coffee, there's a little farm stand and there's a Bigfoot painted on the side, very cartoony. I'm sure you've seen it. And as far as I understand, that's a local artist that's out to like paint 1,000 Bigfoots on things.
Oh, cool.
I think that's a thing that we've seen recently. And so I don't think the artist is charging for it.
No, he's just going out and living life.
Which is so cool, you know? And I understand there's bills to pay, and I understand that. But, you know, what if you're working your job and then painting Bigfoots on the weekend?
Right.
Is that...
And if that, like, that's to me, that perspective of like, oh, I want to paint 1,000 Bigfoots or whatever
or
that may
100
be.
or something, yeah.
Right.
1,000 seems like
so
a lot,
that's an opportunity to dig in and learn how GoFundMe works.
True.
Right?
Absolutely.
There are ways to make money off of that.
Absolutely. That is an excellent point, because that is a very compelling story.
I mean, we have more opportunities right now as artists than we've ever had.
I agree with you.
And I just think that this whole starving artist mindset needs to be swept under the rug and never dealt with again. Like, it doesn't need to exist.
Well, I think that was, when I was running through my story, I think that was one of the really significant things in my life, was I was making $100 to $150 an hour in the 90s at 12 and 13 years old playing the harp. So I very much, you know, I think accidentally, I don't think I know my parents didn't intend it. I don't know if I've shared the story on here, but I was born Rebecca Wilson Hill because it sounded like a doctor or a lawyer.
Nice.
So obviously not the path I went, but yeah, here we are. But doing that creative work and actually getting, you know, really good money at that age, I think it laid that foundation that you don't have to be a starving artist.
Right.
You know, it's really not until I'm hitting 42 here. We watched Hitchhiker's Guide last night. So 42. I already decided on my birthday this year. 42's the answer to life and everything. So this is my year. And you know what? It's been a good year.
Awesome.
So, but it's really taken till 42 that I can honestly say, wow, making money as an artist is hard. Like, it's a hard thing.
Right.
So, and I you know, I don't want to fully believe that. I want to believe that if you find your niche, you're going to be successful.
Right.
I think that's very true.
It is.
But yeah, it can be challenging.
And we have to be able to ask for help when we need it. I mean, that's the other side of it. If you really want to get in a specific gallery and you think your work fits there and you get the no, then you need to make the phone call and have a conversation and talk to them and find out
or
why.
show up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, don't make a scene. Well, if you want to make a scene, that's not up to me. But
Right.
I wouldn't make a scene.
Right.
But I think it's fair to come in. And I think if I was a gallery owner, I can only speak hypothetically, and I never like setting up situations like this, but here I am. You know, as a gallery owner, if the artist comes in and says, hey, I saw you gave me a no, but I'd really love if you give me a chance. I mean, I would definitely think again about it.
Right, absolutely.
Unless it was really obvious that it was not a good fit. But I think what if we fit a couple pieces in this show or
you might find out, like I found out one of the local galleries that is typically doing solo shows is having a group show.
Okay.
That they just put a call out on. So that's an opportunity for me to try and get my foot in the door, is that there's an open call group show. There's a prompt involved, so you have to meet the prompt, but other than that, I can do whatever I want and see what happens.
Prompts can be easy.
Yeah,
I don't think you should be worried about them.
I'm not
I know a lot of artists are like, I don't know about prompts, but it's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it's totally fun. And I think they can engage your creativity in a way that you can't normally get.
Yeah, we're both big fans of them. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the thing. I love that quote. It's from Louise Hay. Life loves me and it's giving me everything I need exactly when I need it, or something along those lines. Because then when you're going, oh, I'd really like to work as an artist, it's that whole The Secret from early 2000s or whatever. And like, I very much believe in that kind of your thoughts make your world. And yeah, it can be hokey, and totally if you're like affirmations don't work, they're not going to.
Right.
Just going to say that. But I think when you're like, oh, I get to ask what I want from the universe. Okay, well, I would like this specific car and this specific house and this specific spouse, and I need to go to Disneyland twice a year. I think when you can just say, life loves me and it's going to provide what I need, it opens it up to be, oh, this opportunity comes up. I wouldn't have thought of that before. But hey, that looks like it fits with my goals. I guess it's all that storytelling, isn't it?
It's storytelling, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Yeah, I think it's about making a choice every day, and I think the interesting part is I think the artists that are trying to make it big or whatever they think they're going, I think they look at some of us that have confidence and it's this interesting perceived success. And I don't think they realize, like, I have bad days too.
Yeah.
Like, I have days where creation is not going to happen. The world sucks. I don't know why I'm here, blah, blah, blah. And then I have to take a deep breath. And sometimes I think it's just, I get burnt out, whatever.
Tired, hungry.
Yeah, people are super draining.
People can be draining.
Like you talked about giving artist talks. Those are exciting and fun, and it's wonderful to get our face in front of people and have those conversations, and people resonate, and it's all great, and it's super energy draining.
It's super well, and then for mine to be the whole history of since I was born and like put that together.
Especially,
Whew.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't go to Black Swan yesterday or Cauldrons, because I was just like, I just need a day. So, because all that energy build towards it, and you can't really make your speech until like the day of, because you're going to forget if you're doing it before. Yeah, all the things.
Or I just do it all off the cuff usually.
Yeah, no, I did a whole slideshow, which was really fun because like we found some of the pictures from the bags that we used to make, and James and I were looking at them. We're like, that was a solid product, man. Like those were pretty awesome. And we didn't have them. We didn't have them easily accessible so to have this cute little slideshow of all my history is actually kind of nice to have that too. So.
And that's a different path, right? I mean, to design bags, and like you said, not to be able, you didn't have enough people.
We
meaning if it would have stayed successful, then that becomes more of a product, and you become more of a designer. And that's another way to do art. I think that there's many ways. That's my point. Is like we can go any way we want with this.
So definitely the handbags, like it was a situational, but then that's the thing is they're like, regardless of if we're an artist or not, we also have to be a business person if we're making money from our art. So like if you really want to make money from your art, be a business person.
Right.
Your art almost has to be secondary.
Yep.
And I think that's the big thing, especially from those days when we made handbags. I see you nodding along, Danger, over there. I was so focused on the product itself that I wasn't necessarily focused on the audience building before.
Right.
Now, we did well. We did the Bellingham Farmers Market with that, and that was how we got started, and we did well. We sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of handbags. We just built too much and then took on a large rental rent. Is that what?
Yeah, that's going to the next step.
Lease,
Right.
and all of that, and we took a gamble, and we were willing to,
Right.
and it situationally then it hit with 2008,
Right.
and it's like
stuff that's out of your control
right,
is out of your control.
right. I mean, it's not like we were the only business that
Right.
closed that year.
Right.
There were a lot of businesses.
But I
that
think that's
closed.
important. Like, you were having success,
Right.
and then when you go to the next level of what does more success look like, again, that's an unknown for you,
Right.
and it's another risk.
Right. Well, that's one of the opportunities we're so excited about right now is we're like, what could we have done with the bags if we'd had like the studio I have now? But people are like, I'm sure people are like, oh, you have this whole studio and jealous, and that's fine. But again, I've been working creatively for 37
Right,
years.
right.
It's not like 20 years
it's
old, we're
it's a
here.
conscious choice you made when you
Right.
selected this home.
Right. And it was, well, we've been here 2 years, so a 35-year history
Right.
to know this was, and there's so many factors that go into play, and I understand not everybody has that. But this is not an overnight success situation for me. This is 37 years in the making. There's been a lot of hard work in it too.
Yep.
But we're talking about what would it have looked like if we could have had much lower overhead having the shop here on the property that like studio tours this weekend, we could have been doing all those opportunities. Like, it would have changed the game from when we did the handbags years ago.
And you can make any choice tomorrow and go back to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not
Well,
going
but
back
I
to
do
handbags.
think that's an important thing. I think some artists they get going
Right.
on this path and they just think it's like this clear-cut straight line.
Right.
But even for myself, like, I made knives for 20 years.
Right.
And then completely have dropped it. Just completely let it go.
But then I opened the box with the bear, and I knew that was the time to go back to it.
Right.
And I'm so happy
Right.
doing it.
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably been at least 3 years since I've played with clay, seriously. So, yeah, I'm dropping back into that. And
Right.
I have all these visions in that art and this and that. But it doesn't make me less of a painter. And
Well,
it doesn't make me less of a knife maker just because I don't have my forge set up anymore, right?
And I know
I
it
still
was
have
a,
those skills.
it was a struggle for you to make the decision to play with the clay and listen to that pull, right? So, again, it's that dropping the story and being
Dropping
like,
the story. And
today I'm playing with clay.
yeah, and I don't need a reason.
Right.
We
Right.
don't always need a reason.
Right. I almost think when you put that financial side on it and I have to be making the sales,
Right.
it's the fastest way to kill creativity.
Right.
So if you just really love being creative, trying to make it a full-time income is not what I would recommend.
No, because it is going to be doing art all night long and doing business all day long.
Right.
I mean, that's the other side of it. If you have to spend 3 or 4 days on the phone or delivering or doing installations or whatever that looks like.
Whatever
There's
it
a ton
looks
packaging, getting ready for the farmer's market,
Packaging.
whatever that looks like.
Loading and
You're-
unloading the
you're
car.
going to, if you still want to enjoy your art, you're going to be doing art at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you're going to be doing it all
Right, and it's just
day.
part of the game. It's
You're
not
gonna be
super
tired.
clear cut. There's many paths to get there.
Right.
My particular path, I joke all the time, is like some sketchy goat trail on the side of the mountain. That
Right.
at any moment I feel like I can fall off or a rock's going to tumble down
Right.
on top of me. It's just
Right.
part of my human experience of who I am and where I'm at and what I do. And I do know like that creativity, more so in the past than currently, but there is still a fear that I feed off of for the creativity. And in the past, it was generally my creativity was at its finest moment if I was proving somebody wrong, if I was proving somebody that I could do something that said I couldn't, or
That's how I got back in the textiles,
Yeah,
as Judy
I
said.
mean-
Nobody else does textile
the
art.
problem is I don't know how in the past I didn't know how to turn that off. So
Yeah.
So that would only be not only proving it wrong, it would be taking it to the 10th degree of quality and workmanship and all of that for nothing.
Right.
And also realizing, like, for me to generate creativity out of that place was not necessarily meeting my own needs of what I actually wanted to do.
I think that that's part of where you and I are both at as artists. Is you've shared with me how much you made last year on art, and it's not an insignificant amount of money for most people.
No, it's not.
And so, like, you are making money as an artist.
Yeah.
You just would like to make more.
I would like to make more.
So I think that, you know, taking that into consideration, like what your number for the year was, I did just in November, December. And so, but you know, I was out stomping every weekend all year. So I did a lot of money last year, and I could have continued that. But I'm at a point in my life where I was like, this is too much. And like, I got sick for the last weekend of the show at December, and it was like, I took it as a sign that these in-person markets are just not sustainable for me.
Right.
And so I think that's the other thing, is just identifying that, right? I mean, I feel like I keep saying the same thing, but I think it's an important part. Like, what do you need from your art?
Right.
Like, yeah, if you want to make full-time income, I totally get that. I get that desire, but do you really need that? Or are your needs different?
Right.
You know?
And you're going to have to schedule in time to just be a businessman.
Right. I do think that's a huge
And there is an understanding with art, like some of this art is seasonal. Like for you, the Christmas time is a big deal for you. Right. Whereas for me, that was my deadest time of the year.
Right.
So,
Isn't that funny?
You know, I'm sitting for 3-4 months trying to figure out what to do with anything. So yeah, it's understanding that it's not going to be a constant income every month. It's going to ebb and flow like crazy, and you're going to have to figure out how to minimize the ebb and flow the best you can.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that's a fair point to say. We probably should start wrapping up, but in my experience, one of the biggest things I've seen is I've sold both 2D wall arty type work, like a lot of what you do, and I've sold, and I sell it, and I've sold handbags, and I've sold, you know, all of it. And I do find, and this at the art group on Thursday was one of the things we were talking about, the 2D art I find a lot more challenging sale than something that's like the tinies are a pretty easy sale because they're adorable, right?
Well, and it's a niche that you've not only found, you created.
But even the happy art, even that, which is also a niche, and I sell like stickers and cards really well with that. Going to the market and, you know, you do 50 sales. Yeah, that should be amazing. And they're $3 stickers. So you've done $150 for like, I mean, realistically, a market, a 4-hour market is an 8-hour day. Because you're getting up, you're driving to it, you have setup, you have tear down. You're realistically not getting much else done that day. And so $150 for that you can do once a week or maybe twice, like that's not in my experience, that's not sustainable. So and
that's different. If it's a long-term market, that becomes a problem for me. If it's your first go around at the market, that's probably what you're going to make. And you're going to have to continue to show up and continue to demonstrate the value of your art to the community.
I think that's the
I mean, it is about cultivating customers all the time.
Well, that's where I'm like, with the happy art I was doing last year, yeah, I could take the January months, get online, start boosting that, go do the markets, but it was a choice. It's like,
a choice,
you know, I don't think I want to do that level of hustling. And, you know, with the economy, we saw our Linden market, for me, it was like great in 2023, half in 2024, half again in 2025. So that was a factor that went in with it too. And that's where then, you know, we talked earlier and we've gotten online with the podcast and I got back online with my stuff because it's just such a broader audience. You can just reach so many more people on here.
Absolutely.
So, but you have to work really hard because it's way noisier here than at a market.
Right.
You really have to do something to stand out, which wasn't the case. Like when I started knitting patterns in 2009, it was really easy to sell online.
Yeah, I mean, you and I showing up here for our 9th episode and based off what, 20 views sometimes or whatever, you know, whatever,
2.
right? Right.
Yeah.
And it would be very easy for me just to be like, you know what, I don't think this is working out. I enjoy our conversations. Don't need Mr. Danger filming me every day. Whatever that looks like, right? But at the same time, I was like, no, everything starts somewhere. And I do believe in the 10,000 hour rule. Not, you know, if this goes 10 years, wonderful, that's awesome, phenomenal. But I know that I'm gaining personal growth every time we do these podcasts, right? And with that is data, and with that data is power.
Well, and you went to Black Swan yesterday, and you know there's at least one person really getting something out of it.
Getting something.
I think it's more than one, but I think, you know, and even we've, you know, had more feedback, and it hasn't all been positive, and I think that's made me stronger too, because it's like, okay, you know, I think we're here for a specific audience, and we're just going to do what we can to be a benefit to those people.
Yeah, it'll resonate with those who it needs to resonate with, and it'll be reflected back by those who it don't.
Right.
That's the one thing I know.
Right. And I'm such a people pleaser. I want to make everyone happy, but
I think when it comes to the business side, there's no quick fix here.
Yeah.
It's
hours
the art world
and
is so goofy when it comes to business. I mean, we have all the way from the highest end art being sold by trust fund babies to the family and friends of rich people, right? I mean, that goes on. And then you have artists doing note cards at farmers markets. That goes on. You have galleries that are doing representation. That goes on. There's millions of paths that we can each take and how to get there. It's figuring out where you fit in and what meets your needs and where you're happiest. Like for myself, standing at a farmer's market selling my paintings as note cards doesn't really make me happy. It just doesn't. But that doesn't mean I take away from somebody who is doing that. I think that's phenomenal, awesome. I know some wonderful photographers in town that sell note cards that are fabulous.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
I think it's really well said. I think it's looking at your own individual situation, trying things too. Show up.
Right.
Try it. Maybe it is for you.
Right.
But it's okay if it's not.
Right.
That
no matter what path or what direction, the first step is to make art.
Right.
I mean, most of the artists that I talk to that are wanting business advice or suggestions or gallery recommendations, all this stuff, they don't even have 12 finished pieces at home.
Well, I went and talked to the group and the senior center. That's where it was I think it was the director there. She's like, do you want to show your work here? And I was like, sure thing. And, you know, I think of it as such a burden, my storage attic above us here, full of stuff, and the kids organize it. So it's kind of like no man's land up there right now. But I have enough work to fill that senior center today.
Right.
And so as much as that feels like a burden sometimes,
it's having stock.
You have to, like, all of a sudden, you can be out of everything.
Right.
So,
and sometimes I'll do stuff, and like you said, it gets put in my front dining room or wherever. I look at it for a while, and then an opportunity comes up for a group show entry, and I'm like, oh, this actually fits in there for once. Right. So then that's what it's for. But it is about having that stock ready to go. So one of the things that I typically do painting-wise is I tend to paint 3 or 4 in a series along the same lines that way, so that I do have groupings. It's a good
advice to do series, collections, series, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can do it in different medias. You can mix all of that up, and you can put a ton of feelers out every direction.
Right.
Figure out what's working, what's not, and go from there.
Right.
Just show up.
And make art.
Show up, make art.
All right, should we end there?
Okay.
So I don't know what I'm supposed to say. My art is my voice podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
And thanks for listening. And
TomFerryStudio.com, Facebook, Instagram.
RebeccaDanger.com. I have a new one up. It's RebeccaDanger.com/meetthedarlings.
Nice.
And it's the mailing list because I decided I'm going to do a drop online and sell a batch of bears. And then the pattern's coming out too.
Yep.
So, yeah, 9 down. Good job.
Okay.
And we'll see you again next week.
Go make art.